Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kellyanne. I'm bookstop for Mysterious Galaxy, and I am here to host tonight's event. I have the lovely honor of introducing our authors tonight. Tonight, we're hosting Melissa Colasanti for her debut thriller, Call Me Elizabeth Lark, which is about the titular Elizabeth Lark, who is a woman who has just killed her abusive husband and is now on the run with her son. Joining us also is her conversation partner, our moderator, Wendy Heard, who is the author of the historical thriller set in the 1980s, Hunting Annabelle. Before we get started, we'll just do a little housekeeping for everyone who has not seen one of our events on Crowdcast before. Down below our video, there's a green button that says buy book and sign personalized book plates. So that will take you to Melissa's book, where you can order a copy through Mysterious Galaxy and request a signed or personalized book plate. And then below that, there's the ask a question button. If you click that, you can type your questions in there for Melissa to answer at the end of the night. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you ask all your questions, because that's the wonderful part of online events, is that you can ask authors basically anything. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Wendy, and we'll get started. Have a nice event, you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Wendy.
Hello. It's so good to see you.
So good to talk to you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And congratulations to you, too. Got something really good coming out, too.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's meet you. Tell us about yourself. What's your little author bio? Are you new to writing? Is this your first book, or have you been writing for a long time? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I won't go back to the whole, I wrote my first story when I was 6 kind of thing. But no, this is my 4th book.
Okay.
So I wrote a few practice type of novels, I guess, before this, although I do have a 5th written, and that one, we're working on, almost done with. So yeah, this is lucky number 4.
Yeah, I've heard that the average is around 7, so that's good. 4 is good.
It's not that bad then. It felt like a lot, but
Yeah, and did you always know that you wanted to write crime fiction, thrillers, darker, or did you come to that after writing in other genres?
What's funny is I actually went to school for, more like literary fiction, and the expectation of, we're going to just focus on character and we're not going to have as much plot in there, which I just kept writing these literary things that just had murder in them all the time. So I thought, this is I'm kind of a mix here. So I really love reading all kinds of crime fiction, from like psychological thrillers to domestic suspense to just about anything of that nature. And I love literary novel. I mean, I read just about everything. So really, I just ended up in that niche, just enjoying really coming up with those little twists and the fun stuff there.
Do you feel like you're going to keep writing in this genre, or do you want to try other ones as well?
I think this is where I pretty much want to stay. Maybe someday I might be interested in writing more of even more of like the family drama type of thing. But for now, I have like 2 more works in progress that I'm really interested in. And every time I always get excited and somebody dies. So,
Well, speaking of the darker stuff, tell us a little bit about this book. What's it about?
Yeah, this one it's a pretty dark novel. It's I kind of came up with the idea sort of with setting first. I'm originally from Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley, and then Ventura.
Oh, where in the valley? Hold on, stop everything.
I was in like the Sunland Tujunga area, and then moved to Ventura County when I was in middle school. And then I lived in Ventura with my first husband, and then he passed away when my kids were toddlers, my older kids. So I made this weirdly rash decision, let's move to the Pacific Northwest. So I kind of just took my kids and we went, and I love the area, and there's something so eerie yet beautiful at the same time. So I just kind of envisioned this inn on the Oregon coast. There's a very specific, image in my head, even though it's a made up town. And I thought, wouldn't it be so weird if you had just like this innkeeper and somebody came in and was an imposter? And then I kind of started to come up with the rest of it, which is basically about centering three women, a mom who lost her child, 20 years prior, who's always thinking that her missing daughter's going to come in the door. And then her other daughter, Gwen, who is just, she feels guilty, but she's also kind of prickly personality-wise in the two of them. But then one day, Elizabeth Lark, who is like on the run with her son, walks in, and Myra's convinced this is her daughter, and Elizabeth sort of becomes an accidental imposter, if you can do that, bringing with her all her problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. She, wants out in a way, but in another way, it's safer. So
I found it really interesting because so there's the mystery around what is Elizabeth Lark's backstory, right? But then there's also this mystery around what's up with the daughter, like what,
yeah,
what happened to her, what's going on. So I thought you did a really good job kind of layering mysteries onto each other.
Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, that was kind of like the aspect, we were talking about like domestic suspense, and then there's, psychological and everything else. I mean, there's so many that kind of, they overlap in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think that's the thing about writing families, is getting to that nitty gritty of like, everybody's got a secret, and some people worse than others, I guess. And that was kind of what I wanted to do with this. Kind of that snowball effect with different secrets and lies and everything else.
Yeah. And, I find that it's hard you have to really get deep into characterization in order to get people to care about that. You've got to first make the reader care if this is the daughter, or if it's not the daughter, or what happened to the daughter, and so I thought you did a really good job with that.
Thank you. That's the thing. Like, I always struggle with that balance between character and plot, because I think that the character kind of comes a little more intuitively to me. But I've learned some really cool like plotting techniques actually from you and other authors. Yeah, you have the coolest little plotting template.
Oh, my beat sheet thing.
Your
oh my
beat
God.
sheet, because I had never used a beat sheet. It changed my life. For this.
Oh man, those things are so helpful.
Yeah.
So let me talk to you a little bit about the setting in your book. So you have this Pacific Northwest setting. It's very atmospheric, very dense. It's claustrophobic with the rain, just like it is there. I mean, I've been to the coastal part of Oregon that you're writing about, and you did a really good job. Tell me about, obviously it's an interesting setting in that it's dark and it's dreary, but tell me a little bit more about choosing that setting and what your thoughts are about that, and how it becomes like a character in the book.
I feel like it does become a character because everybody in there is sort of trapped within themselves in a way. So I wanted to create this, it's not a locked door mystery exactly, but like everybody's kind of stuffed in this inn with their emotions too, because this woman has lost her child. She doesn't know where she is. She's disappeared, and they are just there. And another thing that I had considered is like, why don't they just pack up and go away? And they don't, because that's so much their home. And they also feel like it's her home because they're expecting her to, or Myra really is expecting her to come back at any time. So there's like this stuffiness to the place that is like the stuffiness of their grief, and there's a certain humidity there that I feel it's just, I don't know, it has like an emotional resonance to me to have put it there, and then to also have put Elizabeth in this icy cold isolated place, and then she's back.
The cabin.
So those were kind of my thoughts on that, and it just, I don't know. I feel that when I'm there too. Just the strange
So here's something.
sensation.
Yeah, no, I feel it too. And then one thing I thought about a lot is that, I think in like the thriller has become really well trodden ground, right? Like we are
Right.
just walking over the same ground a lot of the time and trying to find interesting and new twists on it. And so I was just curious because I thought you did the secrets and hidden paths pretty well, you know, in that, not pretty well, but really well, in that you kept it fresh. You kept us interested in these layered mysteries. I don't know. Why do you think we're so obsessed with secrets in crime fiction? Because we really love our secrets, you know, and our secret family past and our secret history of each character. You know, what's up with that?
I know you do that really well too. I was thinking of actually the Kill Club earlier when I was looking at like these, you know, family past things and stuff that create,
All right.
that create like who a person becomes, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
think people are just in general really interested in juicy secrets. I mean,
Yeah.
we're, you know, and in the domestic suspense realm, it can be really compelling because when you think about it, it's kind of like if you see a news story or something where it's like, oh, there was a murderer right next door to you and you never knew. And everybody's always like, he seems so nice. And, you know, that kind of thing. It's really like, I felt like I could do that more easily if it was really close to home in this respect, you know, in terms of, but the problem, I guess, as you said, we're always looking for new twists, new spins, and it feels like everything's been done. Although, you know, I mean, you spend forever trying to come up with the new thing. And as much as I do try to do that, as we all do, it's fun. I think probably the best thing I can really think of in terms of domestic suspense is the characters themselves, because that's the thing that nobody can really emulate if you make a person who they are and make them driven based on who they are. So it's like, obviously we don't want to be rewriting the same story over and over, but I feel like our characters will kind of lead us on different weird paths. I remember early drafts of this book stuff happened that was right in my lap that I didn't see as a twist. And then later I was like, ooh. Sorry.
And it's interesting, our obsession with twists too, because I think sometimes, oh my God, one of my author friends, I can't remember which one, was just saying on Twitter like a week or two ago that there's a difference between a twist and a reveal. Like,
yes,
I think sometimes, did you see that? Whereas like sometimes readers are mistaking them. Like a reveal is something that you could have seen coming. We gave you the clues to see this one coming. It's okay if you guess the reveal. Like we dropped clues for that purpose. You're supposed to be playing detective, but like a twist is like one of those things where like the Gone Girl twist is like the classic example. You could not have seen that midpoint twist coming. She didn't drop any clues. It was a genuine surprise, you know? And so it's like interesting. That's an interesting thing to think about. Like what's a reveal and what's a twist?
You're right. I was actually writing a synopsis and I was writing, so this is the reveal and this is the twist, and it made so much sense to me, and I was more easily able to do it because of what we had seen, or this, I cannot remember who wrote that either, but I found it.
Who wrote that? It was like a friend of mine, and I'm so sorry. I just cannot remember.
But yeah, giving her the attribution here.
I know. I'll find it on Twitter and I'll post it. But like, you know what? It's like that movie where he was dead the whole time. I see dead people. What's that movie? The Sixth Sense?
Gosh, that was so creepy. The one with
that's a twist though. You couldn't have seen it coming, where he was dead the whole time, you know? Looking back, there were a couple really small clues, but the twist is something that should just like shock you. But a reveal is something like whodunit. Sometimes you can guess that. And if you do, you're supposed to feel smart. You're not supposed to be super pissed. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be like, well, I guessed it.
Or just like,
right?
This completely came out of nowhere, but it was the completely, random person.
Well, then there's that too, because you don't want it to be like that feeling of, there's a Latin term for this I'm forgetting, where it's just out of nowhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like where you had no clues. It's very unsatisfying to solve a murder when it's like, oh, it turned out all these people you're investigating, it wasn't any of them. It was the neighbor that we never even talked about. Like that feeling is really unsatisfying.
Well, a recent book that I read, I absolutely loved. My mind was like, I was mentally invested in figuring out which one. It was also a family, so you knew it had to be someone there. But I mean, obviously there's 5, 6 choices, it's not going to be something where it's so out of left field, but at the same time it was really cool. I was thinking about, this is really cool to try to figure out, like, who is it. And
so here's a question, like, you speaking of all those people in the family in your book, okay, this book definitely deals with family dynamics and marital relationships and stuff like that, and one thing you do is you talk about domestic violence in this book, and I'm just wondering, there are some people who who do it better than others. I think you do it really well. What do you think about the place of domestic violence in fiction and how you like to see it handled, or and stuff like that?
I'm really strong in my beliefs on that. In terms of my own writing, I cannot, it feels super wrong or voyeuristic or something to write a domestic violence in a really too vivid or showy kind of way. It gets almost glorified or something. I can't put my finger on it. So that was why I wanted to honor Elizabeth's PTSD. I mean, I wanted to honor the fact that she and her son had been traumatized. But on the other hand, her husband is gone pretty early in the novel for a reason, because I didn't want it to be about him. I wanted it to be like, the book starts, I mean, she has a backstory, but the book starts when she walks into the inn. Like, legitimately it does. But because I don't like that, just too much with the domestic violence. It's not a revenge narrative or anything like that. Not that I have a problem with that when other people do it, because I feel like some authors just do it really, they're able to do that, but I'm not able to go there.
Yeah. Well, that sounds a lot like what a lot of authors say about like sexual assault as well. Is like, you want, if it's something you're going to unpack, I think a lot of us prefer not to see, explicit scenes of it on the page, and I think we all have like our own thoughts about how far into that room we're okay with you walking. You know what I mean? Like, and also, do you think it matters who's writing it?
I do, yeah. But at the same time, you can be that person who's experienced that. See, it's tricky because, I mean, we have the Me Too, and I think those stories are super important. Like, they're important to be told. But at the same time, if I'm writing something, even something personal, except through a character, I'll try to think, like, who am I? Is this helping anybody else in terms of, because this is ultimately for a reader. I mean, maybe not in my first draft of something, but ultimately. So I think it does, because I think that people who've maybe experienced that or been more close to it can understand that desire to step back. And I do think that it's important to deal with in fiction. It's just, there's like a matter of, what's the word, being classy even, because like really intense rape scenes are just, I cannot handle that. Like, I'll start screaming if it's random on TV or a movie or something like that too. So I don't know. I guess if I know it's coming in something I'm reading, then I'm a little better with it. I just cannot picture myself actually writing,
It's an interesting talk. It's an interesting thing to think about as someone who's making art, because you're making art alone in your room and you're processing things as you're making it, right? And so like survivors are processing their trauma, and that's what artists do. We take the things we've gone through, we process them through our art, whatever that looks like. It can be done like as an allegory in a song, or it can be done in fiction through the lens of something else. But then when it becomes public facing, it's a little bit, so I don't know about you, but I don't have an answer. I more just think it's an interesting question to ponder, the difference between writing it privately in your room and then it's public facing, and what do you do in that translation, et cetera.
Yeah, it's weird because it almost becomes a bit of a responsibility too once you're putting something kind of out there. And yet at the same time, there's artistic, freedom and everything too. So it is really complex. I think it depends on a couple of things. One, the author's, comfort zone, and what, you get that visceral reaction even when you're rereading your own work, like, I don't know. And also your skill. I mean, some people are just more skilled than others at that. If you can do that skillfully, then, be a little bit more forward. But at the same time, you have a lot of skill in that. That's, that's all in the perception, I think. Problem is,
Yeah, I actually, are you a fan of Jennifer Hillier's book?
Yes, I am.
So like she's someone who goes all in, and whatever room it is, you're going all the way into the room, whatever kind of scene is happening. You know what I mean? And I think she sets up that expectation well, where it's like, that whatever is going to happen, you're going all the way into that room. And I think you're ready for it when you read her.
I think it does help that she does it so that I mean, Jar of Hearts, definitely, like, I viscerally can see that right now in some of those scenes, like in my head when you mentioned it. And I love her. She's a great author. And I just read Little Secrets some time ago too, which isn't as, I guess it's not as intense in that regard, I guess, maybe because.
But the emotional stuff with the child. I mean, that's one where Little Secrets is about a woman whose son gets kidnapped. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to read this. At first, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, Jenny, I don't know if I'm able to make it through this. Yeah. But she's so skilled and so talented that it's almost like she takes me into this very dark room, but it's almost like she puts her arm around me and makes me feel like I can make it through this dark place she's taking me. And I feel like that's what you're saying with skill. Like the skill with which she builds these scenes makes it so that I can pass through these dark places and I feel like confident in doing it somehow. Writing is so hard, man.
Yeah, it is. It's
hard.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yeah, let's not. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's the revising where you're like, well, let's think about this from the reader's perspective.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, so here's a question for you. Would you say this book has like a main message or a main theme? Or anything, like, is there a big question you feel like you're asking or something you're really hoping readers take away from this?
So initially, I never really sit down with that idea that I'm going to have a theme. But then I think my editor kind of came up with, she's like, this is so much about mothers and daughters and those relationships and how complicated they can be. And there was one question that I had in my mind when I got a little bit more into this and coming up with like, wow, what would you do if one of your children, teenager, lost their baby sister and she never came home?
That was so rough. Yes, I felt so bad.
And I was like, what if, because I don't know what I would do. I can't say. I mean, I can't even go there in my mind for me. But I was thinking like, what is that like? Like, could she really forgive her? Or if she did, would Gwen ever really believe it? And that was what I was trying to explore in the book. And still, I'm not sure how that really concluded. I think it was that particular topic was a little bit too much to wrap up in a story. So I think that's a little bit like not completely, plus I'm not giving away my endings and stuff.
Yeah. And it's also like, exactly. It's like, can the mom forgive her? Can she forgive herself?
Yes.
And it's like, it's all tangled up because it's like, I don't know if my mom will forgive me, but I don't know if I forgive myself. And so in not forgiving myself, I can't accept my mom's forgiveness, even if she has it to offer. There's like this very complicated dynamic there.
The two of them were a lot. I think that was also part of the really deep hope for Elizabeth Lark to be who they think she is, because that will fix it for both of them, in their minds, at least the way that we think kind of in a more simple level of like, what would fix us? What would, what would there be like the one thing that would fix you? And then you think about it and you're like, well, not necessarily if you go even deeper. But I also, when writing Gwen initially, I really didn't think of her as at all likable. And then all these people have been like, she's the only normal one in the family. And oh, I love Gwen.
Oh, interesting.
And
very interesting.
What's interesting is the people who say they can totally identify with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but somebody was mentioning it was like the whole, the trying to be the perfect mom and the Instagramming of herself lifestyle to try to make up for things.
She's trying to hold it all together. She's like white knuckling it, like totally. Just holding it all together, trying to be perfect. I think a lot of us could identify with that.
Yeah, for sure. It was just, I think we always want to like take a kernel of ourselves in these fictional stories and then just kind of up the ante, more, or give more to like, well, how would this be? And then.
Well, I think we have a couple questions in the chat, and I want to remind people that we're getting to the point now where we can take some audience questions. So Yay. If you would like to ask any questions, down in the bottom, you're going to see a little thing that says people, and then you're going to see a thing that says ask a question. So I'm going to ask you the questions that are in there, but go ahead and drop some in there. And it can be, we don't have to keep it serious. You can ask funny questions as well. We're open to chatty questions about, anything you like. So, okay. When writing mysteries, do you plan out everything that's going to happen and how the mystery will be revealed before you start writing? Ooh, that's a good question.
Not with this book at all. There was like 50 drafts before. I mean, even with my editor, we did like a big rewrite on that. So she's like, so we're going to change this and that. So, I mean, that whole changed. But honestly, what I find is I try to do that with this last thing that we're wrapping up now. I attempted to plan it all out, and then the characters were like, no, we're going to take you on this route. So I try.
Nice.
Let's just go with that.
And are you writing on like more of a timeline now that you've had one get published, and now your next one, you're probably trying to get it finished by a certain date? Is that hard, since on the last one you wrote like 50 drafts and the characters took you on rabbit trails?
Well, the cool thing, one very cool and helpful thing, is that I had managed over the past year to get that one finished, and like we're ready with it to turn in. So yay, we're ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But we have a next thing too. So
okay.
We don't necessarily have deadlines right now. So that's the good news. I'm sure it's going to get more.
That's nice.
Because the deadlines for Call Me Elizabeth Lark were pretty intense. So right now I'm a little bit.
Yeah. So what's been your favorite part of this whole debut process?
Oh my gosh.
Of like going from being an unpublished author to being a published author. Like, what's been your favorite part?
I wanted to see my book in a bookstore. I have been saying this since I was 5. I don't care about anything else. I'm just like, okay, cool, we're done. Like, I'm happy. Like,
if you want to see it on the shelf.
I just wanted to see it on the shelf. I sent my sister to Barnes and Noble in Westlake Village in California because she called and they this is bad. They said they had it, and I go, can you, because it's COVID, I'm like, can you ask them to snap a picture? And she's like, I'll just put on a mask and go down there, it's okay. But yeah, I have now pictures of that, and that's
but you haven't seen it on the shelf yet.
What?
But you haven't personally seen it on the shelf yet.
Because, for one thing, we have limited bookstores here in Boise, and we have the one, little indie store that we have here, although I guess I could call Barnes & Noble and see if they have it here too. I hadn't thought of that. But they're closed.
I think you should go to the bookstore and demand that they carry it, demand that they shelve it. Go in there and say, don't you know who I am?
My friend actually called one place and she was like, do you have this? And they're like, no. And she's like, but they said, we can order it right now. And she said, it was so easy. Who knew?
Okay, can I tell you what my mom does? This is so
Yes.
embarrassing.
I
She
need to
goes
hear
into
it.
bookstores. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. She goes into bookstores and she'll be like, "Do you have any books by Wendy Heard?" And she asks it really loud so people will hear because she wants them to think this is the cool author. And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we have Hunting Annabelle." And she'll be like, "You don't have the Kill Club?" And I hear she has another book coming out. Everyone's talking about it. You need to order as many as possible. And
That's
she'll do this.
so good. You haven't
And
had it.
I'm like, "Mom, this is LA. They do not give a F about anything you were saying. I promise you." Like they don't. She's like, "I do." I guess she goes to bookstores like all the time and
Oh
does
my
this.
gosh, how
I'm like,
funny.
"Mom, please stop."
At least you're not with her. Like
I'm just
13.
picturing some bookseller at like Barnes and Noble in Sherman Oaks. He's like, "Lady, please, I work here. Do you want to order it? I'll just order it. It's fine."
They will do that. It turns out really easily.
I know they will. They're very nice. You don't have to do this. Okay. Oh, this is okay. I feel like this is a question I'm going to ask you, but what happens to me when people ask me this question is that my mind draws a complete blank and I have complete life amnesia. So if that happens to you,
no. What do you...
that's fine. But do you have any favorite books that you've read recently? When people ask me this question, I'm like, I've never read a book. I don't know.
Okay, I just finished The Family Plot. And
oh my God. Is it good?
oh,
I am dying to read that book.
she is so good. And
I know
that
she's
book,
so good. Oh.
yeah, that book was what Megan Collins, sorry guys for who doesn't know. Megan Collins is a great author, but this is her third and she just gets better every time. And this is the one I was talking about where I was trying to figure out who did what, and it's really gothic too. It's dark.
I know.
Dark.
This is why this is Megan Collins going goth. I'm like, I need this book. Anyway, I just put the link to the Goodreads in the chat.
Megan, yeah, she's great too.
I'm so pissed off that I don't have that book.
Yeah.
Megan, if you're watching this, I'm pissed off. Give it to me. Okay. Here's the other one. Oh, here we go. What part of the story brought you the most joy to write? I'm not sure. Was there a joyful part of the story? This is a pretty dark story. Were there happy parts for you to write?
There were like a couple, like two in the whole thing.
I always have happy parts in my dark books, so like it could very well be like I have happy parts.
That Myra and Herb actually, despite all the difficulties they have, they're like sweet together, and I really wanted to do that. I wanted to make it there be a part that was sweet, and Gwen, there's a couple funny parts that I included there. She's a cat person.
Yeah,
people always mention that. She's a cat person in a family of dog lovers. So I had a little fun with her with some of her parts where she's all into her Instagram life, but that part was a little joy. But there's a lot of sadness in this too.
Well, so this next question says, who's your favorite side character? But I guess my question is it Gwen? Is Gwen your favorite side character?
Yeah, if we she's my favorite side character if we're counting point of view characters as also side characters. But
I know, so I mean it's like a family, so I'm like, yeah.
If we're not, it's actually Theo, the little boy.
Okay. Okay, yeah, he's great.
He's a sweetie, and I worked on him too. He has a
cool personality.
I wanted like, how do you write a 5-year-old? Not too much talking because it's like that gets. Anyways, I love him. Yeah,
he's very with it. I think you did a great job. I mean, I could tell you were someone who knows kids well because you just captured him really well.
I have 6 kids, and my youngest is actually 5.
You had 6.
Now. He's crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
He's crazy.
He's a sweetie, but he's been in a house for a year.
Yeah, I think we're all. I think we're all a little bit wonky right now after this.
We are. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Do we have any other ones in here? I think I've got all of these. My next question for you is, it sounds like you have a couple of secret projects in the works.
I do, yeah. Well,
but you can't tell us about.
I can tell you about one, I think, because it's a little less secret, at least, because it's kind of complete. But it's gonna be, this one is, I'll tell you, like, kind of, I'll be vague. No,
yeah,
not too vague, but it's a dual point of view story about. It's dual point of view, but it's also a dual timeline. So it's about a detective in a tiny little island town. I think we were talking about we both have islands.
Yes. And our works in progress.
It's a Pacific Northwest island that I kind of like made up, based on one of those other little islands there. But it's about the detective point of view, and then one of the houses there, it's somebody that she knows that is a hoarder, and they have to tear the house down, and they find a body. And the body belongs to her, our detective's girlfriend from high school. So it pushes her to try to figure out what happened.
Oh my God. Okay. Want to read that. So you better get that finished. Okay. So I can read it.
It's done, but I need a home.
Find a home for it. The home for it is in my computer so that I can read it. Okay. So then I guess we're at the point where you tell us where people can find you online and how they can connect with you.
Oh, okay. So maybe I should I type it in here?
No, just tell us. That's okay. I mean, you can type it or you can tell us whatever you like.
Okay. Well, Twitter is my best place, and I'm on. Let's see. I will type this. It's a little bit easier.
So she's on the Twitters. Do you have an author website?
Yeah, all damn day. I mean, I really. And also my website is. Let's see.
Awesome. I had fun having this chat with you. This was great.
Me too. This was so fun. Okay.
Where's Wendy?
I didn't quite hear you. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say too on.
Yeah, I have like a little bit of a robot thing happening with you, Melissa. Does she have a robot thing to you too?
Yeah. I can't
okay. I thought it was just me. I thought it was just my high school days repeating themselves.
Maybe try again. She disappeared. Maybe she's gonna try. There we go.
Hear me now?
Can I pour online?
Maybe it's the phones.
It's got a nice like trippy effect though.
Yeah.
I want to also say thank you to the friendly faces in the audience who have been sitting here listening to us chat. It's been fun to see a couple familiar names in there.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed.
Thank you guys
hearing
so much.
Yes. And congratulations again on your debut.
Thank you.
So exciting.
Congrats on your new book coming out. She's
thank you.
I'm so excited for that one.
It's funny, these books all happen so far in advance that when they actually finally release, it feels so surreal. Like I think this book announcement went out in January of 2019.
Wow.
And yes, like I sold this book like literally, I think more than 2 years ago. Wow. It was like a 2.5 year lead time or something, really like long lead time, which was good. It had plenty of time to edit and everything. It was nice,
That's actually good because doing the fast edits are a little bit scary, but also you managed to not debut right in 2020 in the midst of it too.
No complaining. I'm very happy to be coming out past it. Yeah, just it's weird to see it like finally starting to happen. So I'm sure you feel that way too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's so crazy when it finally starts happening.
Yeah, it's exciting though. That's really fun.
Publishing is very like hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? It's like you wait forever and then you have like this flurry of activity and then you wait for another long time and then like the flurry of activity.
Yeah, it's fun, right? It's like, I mean, you're like, oh, okay, let me wait for this email.
Refresh.
Right. And then it's like, hi, rewrite write this thing.
Okay, one more to me.
I can't hear very well.
Yeah, you're a total robot. That's kind of funny. You look pretty normal, just a little fuzzy, but then you have like this whole like through a voice disguiser type of audio. Yeah, we'll just do the outro in the chat. That'll be fine.
Okay, cool. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened. That's strange. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
I so appreciate the support. This has been really good. Like, people have been so nice.
Yeah? Do you feel supported and everything? I'm so glad to hear that. You don't feel alone.
Nice people have been. I mean, my little daughter even, I mean, everybody's been nice, but my little daughter held up my book to her chest and she goes, Mommy, she goes, I'm proud of you. And I was like, oh, you're so sweet. I mean, I've taken years of time and everything writing, and I guess she was just kind of like amazed that we finally come to this fruition of having this, my author copies and stuff like that.
So cool. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And yes, everybody, here's a reminder. You can buy the book by clicking the turquoise button down underneath the people talking. And you can buy that and it'll take you straight to buying it from Mysterious Galaxy, who's so kindly hosting us today. So, and thank you, Mysterious Galaxy, for hosting us.
Thank you. And we'll sign book plates and send them too. So,
all right. Yes.
Let them know.
Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to sign some too if you want to buy Pretty to Burn.
Definitely.
All right. Well, everybody have a good night. Thank you so much. And Melissa,
bye,
so
everybody.
good talking
Thank
to
you.
you.